It's a beautiful day. Isn't it a beautiful day?
It's a good day. It's so pretty.
It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful, it feels like fall day, but it's not. It's a teaser fall day. I hate those, don't you?
Me too.
You're a man of few words today. What's going on?
Turning over a new leaf.
Oh, okay. So today we want to talk about our top 10 secrets to a successful marriage. So we just want to kind of give y'all some of our top 10s, and this is in really we had to put them in order, but we had to too because you really can't put it in order because they all should be lined
Well, there is
up,
one that needs to be
all
in
on
order.
the same. But well, yeah, that's true.
One.
Okay, so you're going to start off,
I am.
correct? And start with number 10. Are you going to start?
Yeah. It's my turn. Number 10, intimacy. What can I say? Now you know why I'm a man of few words.
Oh, me. That's why, because you were
I was dreading number 10.
You were dreading the first one you had to talk about.
Yeah, number 10 is intimacy. And I just didn't know what to say. I mean, how do you say this? The reason we put intimacy number 10 was because if the other things that are on this list are a priority and are done correctly and are in line with where they need to be, number 10 is actually going to be a chart topper, because your intimacy is a very broad element to your marriage. It's not just one single area of your marriage like some people think. It's very broad, and it's something that you can work on throughout the day, the month, the whatever. You can work on things as you're building up to something maybe special, or you're just having regular old everyday chores to do. But intimacy is something that can be fueled and it can be refined as you live your everyday life.
And it's not just about the physical.
Absolutely. I wasn't going to say that.
Why?
Because I'm trying to be a man of few words. It's not just about the physical.
Well, I'll say it. It's not just about the physical.
It's not just about the physical.
Yeah. It's a broad term.
As a matter of fact, if you look up the definition of it, it is more to do with the closeness or the familiarity. That's a mouthful to say. Or friendship. So the word itself, the definition of the word, of course, can be used a number of ways, but it's really talking about closeness.
Right.
And proximity is usually how we use that word. Closeness and proximity.
Right.
So, do you have anything else for number 10?
I do not. I think you did a good job, even though you dreaded it.
It was, it's just one of those touchy subjects that.
Yeah, it's just.
I mean, who wants to talk about intimacy on a camera with, strangers?
Right. I think.
But we will. There's a video coming.
Yes. Number 9 is value each other, and you made a very good point earlier when we were discussing this, that when you value something, what's the thing that you do? He actually said, when you value something, what do you do? And, it didn't take me long to think, well, you take care of it. If you value your car, if you value your home, if you value your pet, if you value, anything, you're going to make sure you take care of it. And why shouldn't we value our spouse and take care of our spouse? And then, like you were saying, maintenance. You maintenance a car, so you have to
And that
maintenance
is
your marriage.
And that is something that we do regularly. The next time you get in your vehicle, you probably will look up into the top left corner of your windshield and see a little sticker. And that little sticker says, the next time you're supposed to maintenance the car is such and such. So many miles, so many date, whatever. So we have to set reminders to maintenance things, because sometimes, the time gets away from us. Well, we have to set reminders to make sure that we keep up with what we value in life. So nobody's going to walk around with a little, reminder sticker about the other kinds of maintenances we do in life. When I worked in the appliance business, we usually told people to change their water filter in their refrigerator twice a year, Christmas and 4th of July. That's easy to remember. You don't have to remember how often should I change it. If you just change it every Christmas and every 4th of July, it's done. You don't have to worry about it. We sometimes just need a little reminder.
That's correct. So
Number
what's
8,
your
it's my turn. Spending
Your
quality time. Spending quality time. Spending quality time. Number 8.
That was yours. We came up with some of these. We each came up with some of these, and you actually came up with that one.
I like quality time. That's a big deal. I enjoy spending time with you. I enjoy going and doing things. Even making these videos is quality time for us, because in order for us to do this, we go and we pick out our spot and we go sit down, and like today, we've waited about 45 minutes to an hour to be able to start the videos because of the happening at the boat ramp. So, we just come and we spend some time together and we talk and we learn and we listen, and we just, that's our quality time.
And that's a big thing in the world today, is taking the time to spend time.
Yeah, we're pulled in every direction.
Yes. Where both spouses are at work, and if they're not at work, they're at the kids' events, the after-school events, sports, no matter what it is. And then one of them's maybe home helping with baths, and one of them's helping with homework. So it's you're pulled. So it's hard to take the time to sit down and just spend time.
And a friend of ours tells us about a little devotional that they do. They have a book that is for married couples. And as they have that book for married couples, they're older and they have gone through this book like every year. They just sit down and they know that book's coming, but every time they go back to the book, and let's say they're on year 3 and they get to, August, what's today, the 15th, 18th, whatever today is. I probably shouldn't have said the date, because then our video is going to kind of be dated.
It's okay.
Okay.
I think it's like the 16th. I think I'm
16th.
not exactly sure.
I'll tell you. It is the 16th.
Yeah.
But every time they go back through, they're in a different place in life. So even though they learned something from August 16th last year, this year when they read August 16th, it's going to be fresh for where they are in life. So, quality time is that way too. You might think, well, we do, usually we have anniversary trips, and we plan anniversaries, birthdays, whatever. We have those annually. But as we have those annually, we're always in a different mindset or a place in life every year that date comes along.
That is true. Did you do quality time? Am I up? Oh, sorry. Okay. Number 7, be on the same page financially. This is a big one. This is huge, because all the statistics or whatever. We say they said this. And they say that.
They are big. That's
a big
group.
I don't know who they are.
Yeah, they.
But they say the top 2 reasons for divorce is sex and money, finances. So the finances is a big deal, to be on the same page financially. And it doesn't. I think it doesn't matter if you're. I think you can complement each other. If one of you is a little bit more of a spender than the other one, and the other one's more of a saver, that's okay, because then you're going to complement each other. But you need to have that talk. You need to talk about it and have your rules that apply, so that you don't have somebody that's addicted. There's a lot of I say women, because there's more men, but when I think of this, I think of women that are addicted to online shopping, and it gets them in trouble. Or in store shopping. I'm sure there's a man here or there that is addicted to shopping, but most of the time it is the women. So, it could get you in trouble, just like gambling, addictions and things like that. It can get you in trouble financially. So
anything that drains your bank account faster than you can put it in there, it's probably a problem.
yeah, so you definitely need to sit down, and this is one thing that you should, this is premarital counseling, really. All of this, should be, but you should sit down and talk about this before you even get married, because there's a vast difference in opinions on this subject. That's number 7.
And this is just our little list.
Yes.
You can, if you Googled 100 times, you'd probably get 100 different lists.
Yes.
Number 6, show compassion. Good days and bad days. We oftentimes say that marriage is 50-50, but that cliche is very inaccurate. Marriage is never 50-50. It should be 100-100. Your marriage may be 50-50. You may only be putting in half of what you should be putting in, but it's not going to work that way for long. So 100-100. And in our relationship, how we have found out the hard way is sometimes when I was only able to pitch in 80%, Kelly had to pull the 120 because it's always got to be basically 100-100 for each of you. So when you're lacking, your spouse is more willing to pick it up if you're doing your part when she's lacking. So always be mindful of the fact that if you show compassion and you understand that some days husbands just aren't going to be able to do what the wife needs him to do, and wives aren't going to be able to do what the husband needs her to do. If you're willing to be compassionate toward that deficiency, it'll go a long way.
And do you remember, I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Okay, I'm
Let's
ready.
see how this works out.
I love being put on the spot. Is the seat hot or just put on the spot?
No,
It's not a hot seat.
No, it's not a hot seat.
Okay.
Do you remember the song that I get up and sing? I haven't done it in a while though, even if I've gotten up like in a really good mood. But do you remember the song I sing when I'm in a really good mood?
Let's see. Oh, happy day
No.
that fixed my choice.
No.
Not that one?
No. You know it.
Let me think.
You know it. If you hear me singing this,
Then I realize you're happy?
then it's a good day and I'm happy. Which I haven't done it in a while though. I don't know why.
Well, it's probably been so long I don't remember. I'm trying.
It's an old, okay.
It's an old song?
I'm going to give you a hint.
Okay.
It's from an old kids show.
Old kids show.
And the guy came in and took his sweater off.
Oh,
and put
Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. He would sing. You talking about the Good Neighbor song? I mean, Mr. Rogers. He wasn't.
Isn't he the one that says it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood?
Yeah, he is. That's a neighbor. That's a neighbor song.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
It's a beautiful. Yeah, she does sing that.
Yeah, have you
It's a beautiful day
forgotten
in the
that?
neighborhood. Yeah, I have.
So see, you totally like
I bombed that
you
one.
bombed the. You know that I've gotten up and sang that.
I know you have.
And you're like, oh, she's singing. You've even said it before. Oh, she's singing the. She's singing the song. Because I come in and I just started. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Anyway, my point to that, you lost, just so you know. Let's just keep that on record and on video that he bombed that one. My point to saying that was there's a lot of days to where we're not waking up and singing "It's a Beautiful Day in that Neighborhood."
And nobody under the age of 30, 35 are even singing that song because Mr. Rogers.
Nobody at the age of 30 or 35 are probably watching these videos.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I would figure not. Anyway, you're not.
Demographics are important.
You are not going to be. You're not both going to be waking up happy every morning, and sometimes both of you will wake up in a bad mood.
And I can guarantee you that both of you are not waking up singing "It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood."
No, even if you are happy.
That's right.
What are you singing? You don't wake up singing.
I don't wake up singing. I'm
But you are.
fortunate. I'm fortunate if I wake up.
You are a little bit more of a morning person than I am.
Oh, I love the mornings. I just don't get up
Yeah.
singing "It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood." Come on, people, let's join it good. Here we go. That's not my thing. I think this
But-
video just got nixed.
Why?
People just like that guy.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
No, people know
No, they
Mr.
were like-
Rogers. People know Mr. Rogers.
Well-
Come on. Yes.
Hit the pause
Anyway.
button. Hit the pause button on your video. Reminisce for a few minutes.
Go
and
look
come
at
back to us.
Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, if
But
you don't know
anyway,
what it means, go back. Go look it up.
I had a point to that. It's just not all the time are we waking up singing. And then sometimes we're both in a really bad mood, but it seems to be always that there's something going on or that one's in a worse mood than the other. So the other one needs to, not be selfish and give their 120 or 150 or whatever they have to give that day. Sometimes you have to give 200 and your spouse is giving 0 that day. Sometimes it's just that way.
And I will say that in our time together, that has meant more to me lately than I ever thought it would mean to me. When I'm down, when I don't feel well, when I'm ill, when I'm disgruntled, when something's just not sitting right with me, and she's pulling some of my slack, it means a lot to me. It really does, and I haven't told her this, but it means something to me because I know that I'm more moody here lately. I'm more, those kinds of things than maybe I have been in my past. But it really does. That's one of those things that if you were to put things on a list of things you appreciate about what your spouse does for you, to me that really matters. Does it matter to you?
Oh yeah, definitely. And you do the same for me. I mean, you pulled me out of, it's funny because it seems like for us it's hardly ever at the same time. Very, very rare is it at the same time. If I'm upset about something's happened, and I'm stressed or upset about something, he's not as stressed about it. If he's upset about it, I'm not as upset about it. And so we can always just pull each other out of that mood that we're in and help each other to see the positive again.
And I'm usually the pessimist. I'm usually the worrywart. I'm usually the one that's, gets all in my head, and I think about stuff way too much, especially with situations or scenarios or, things like that. And if I see her getting upset about something, naturally, it's not that I'm like sitting around going, all right, you got to do this. But it's almost like naturally take a back seat to let her have her moment and vent it or get upset. And I'm not talking about when it's with me. When it's with me, I'm defensive. But when it's something going on, in our life, something has happened, because she's very rarely upset about things. And when she does get upset and I see that and I pick up on it and I notice it, if I'll take a back seat to that and let her have her moment, she will make it through it faster than if I contribute to it, or if I fuel it, or if I ignore it. Then it'll take her longer to process through whatever is happening. So you will find out in your marriage there are certain things that you're observant. You know how to catch on to things. You know how to see certain things. And if you're not observant, you need to be a listener so that your spouse can communicate it. But at some point you will pick this stuff up. I mean, when you are married and you live together and you spend this kind of time together, surely you see the emotional positioning and distresses and all those other things that your spouse is going through. So show compassion. Be on the same page, not just financially, like one of the items on the list, but also on the scale of compassion. If you've got a hard heart towards your spouse and you're not willing to have some compassion toward their needs, man, it's going to be a rough day.
That was a good one. We spent a little bit more time on that one, but I think it was needed. I think it was much needed because that's a really important one. Okay, number 5, be willing to learn and change. And you actually came up with this one too, but we came up with these together. But
we just sat down and made a list and then organized
with some of the things that we have learned. But I think that's really good. When I think of that, I think of the change that you have made throughout just the last several years, of the change that you have made. And
when you were as bad as I was, you have to change. I mean, really, I'm being honest.
But you have to, you say that, and I know you're kind of joking on that, but
I'm not joking.
But you have to be willing to see that you need the change first.
Yeah.
Be willing to admit that you need the change, and then do accordingly and change. And that takes a lot of self-reflection. And a lot of people don't want to do that. It's hard to look in the mirror. It's hard. It's easier to attack someone else, or to point a finger at someone else. But it is really hard to look in the mirror. And that's
Tell me the last time you personally, Kelly, have walked past a mirror and not changed something you saw. Tell me the last time. Just a few minutes ago, I did it. I'm looking right here. The wind's blowing right in on us, and showed you all of this right here I got going on. And I reached up because I can see myself, and I brushed my hair back down. When's the last time you walked past a mirror and stopped and looked at yourself that you didn't reach up and do something, or
always.
We always do that. We're almost instinctive with that. Well, why can't we do that with our
But that's outside.
life?
That's outside. That's not inside.
Well, I know, but
And that's what we have a problem with.
It's just as easy to change the inside if you're tuned into it. If you have a need, if you have a desire, if you have the wherewithal to see your flaws, maybe somebody's pointing them out to you, maybe you see them yourself. But I mean, we've been sitting in church, and I've looked over, and just for whatever reason, we make eye contact, and she'll give me that, you know, eye movement or whatever, that my hair is not right, or like my collar's sticking up or whatever. And usually before services or whatever, she'll you know, doctor me up a little bit, but thankfully she doesn't do it during services like I'm 4. But sometimes,
I think I have before.
yeah, sometimes she
think I
needs
have
to.
before.
You know what I mean? Because
I think
you know,
I have moved your hair around or something.
It
before,
could be bad.
or a collar or something. Not.
Yeah.
Um.
So, you know, those are just a few of the things. Be willing. I think if you know that your spouse is willing to learn and change, it's a totally different environment than if you're so hard that you're not going to change. I mean, one of the things that we saw in something just a few minutes ago, and I think I can pull it up here right quick. If I can, I will. If you do what you always do, you'll get the same result. So if you're not willing to alter what you're doing and change it a little
bit. Isn't that the
bit,
definition of insanity?
insanity is doing the same thing every time and expecting a different result.
Oh, okay.
It's
Okay.
not. I mean, they're very closely associated, but it's not exactly the same.
Okay.
But you have to be willing to change, or when your job phases out and you can't train to do another one, you go to the house.
Mm-hmm.
If, you know, the kids are all that you are focusing on for 18 years of your life and the kids move out, what's going to happen? You know, there are some people who fall apart when their kids leave the nest. There are some people who fall apart when the kids come into the nest. There's all kinds of things. So if you're not adaptable, if you're not flexible, you're in trouble.
Yeah, there's so many
Especially
different.
when you're
Yeah.
trying to together something.
Yeah, there's so
that's,
many different stages in our lives that that's a good point. We have to be willing to change as we go on, but we get stuck in a certain mindset, especially with our spouses. It's once again, it's one of those things that we'll change in other areas, like you just talked about. It just made me think, you know, we'll change in all these other areas, but we don't think that we're supposed to be willing to change with our spouse.
But our home is the most fluid thing there is.
Mm-hmm.
It's built on a solid foundation. If it's built on principles, if it's built on morality, if it's built on scripture, if it's built on friendship. I mean, think of all the blocks that are in the foundation of your marriage. One of those blocks has to be flexibility, or the ability to learn and change. It has to be, or, I mean, what happens when you hit a little ripple in life? Then it cracks the foundation, and the foundation is not there. It has to be the strongest, flexible foundation ever, a home.
That's true.
You know, not your house, but your home.
That's true. You have number 4. You're up.
Respect each other. Have boundaries. We've done a whole video on this, I think 2 videos on this, about having boundaries. We'll not spend very much time on this one because we can reference you back and hit some of those other videos, but respect each other. If you respect your spouse, when they talk, you'll listen. If you respect your spouse, when something important is going on, you'll slow down enough to acknowledge it, to at least see what's going on. When you're driving down the road and you see a house for sale, or you see, you know, some yard sale sign or whatever, you can't read what's on that thing at 85 miles an hour. You just can't, not unless it's a, you know, billboard or something. But the smaller the problem, the more you have to slow down to look at it. The bigger the problem, the more you should be focused on trying to fix it. So I would say in this area, respecting each other is huge.
And it carries it's a broad term. You could say that about a lot of things in a marriage. You know, like how you talk to your spouse, the tone of voice that you use. You know, respecting the differences that you have as individuals. There's a lot of things where respect could come into play in a marriage. That's a big one.
Do you remember when we were kids and you would record yourself? Maybe you're singing "It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood," or your favorite Bon Jovi song, or whatever it is that you did when you were
My
a kid.
Sugarland song with my microphone.
You still do that. That wasn't when you were a kid.
True.
No, we're talking.
It's a tail.
We're talking about the things when you were a kid and you recorded.
That was at Sugarland. I'm sorry. I'm
I
sorry.
knew that. That's why I said
I'm
it's
sorry.
now.
That was Wilson Phillips.
Yeah, Wilson Phillips.
Let me,
That's
that
really
was
throwback.
Wilson Phillips, because I was not a kid.
What was the
when
name of the
I was
song?
Singing,
Yes, I
One
got
More
it.
Day.
Oh, yeah. So you
Isn't it One More Day? Isn't that the name of it? I don't know if that's the title of it.
I
but
don't. Is Wilson Phillips 2 people?
It was 3 people.
3 people.
It was a group of 3, I'm pretty sure.
So Wilson Phillips had 2 names,
Not-
but somebody got left out.
I think it was 3 people.
So maybe 2 of them's name was Wilson, 2 of them's name was Phillips.
I don't know. But yeah, it was, anyway, go ahead.
You recorded yourself, and as you recorded yourself, man, you're just rocking out. And then when you play it back, you're like, do I really sound like that? You remember the self-discovery of what you sounded like when you're recorded, and you say, you go to your brother, your sister, your mom, or somebody, and you say, do I really sound like this? And they're like, yeah, that's exactly what you sound like. Well, you sound different in your own head because of the bones and the conductivity of all the sound in your head than you do to actually the person sitting beside you listening to your voice. That's 2 different sounds. So it is too how you talk to your spouse. How you talk to your spouse, especially if it's a disrespectful talk, they're hearing it different from what you're hearing it. And that's a powerful illustration of, are we really paying attention to how we are communicating, or are we just lashing out all the time?
Yes.
You won't lash out at your spouse if you respect them.
You ready to go to
Yep.
the next one?
Yep.
Number 3, healthy communication. And that's another one that we've already dealt with. I think it was that a part 1 and 2?
I think so.
I think it was a part 1 and 2. So we talked a lot about communication, but we can't stress that enough. Healthy communication. That's why that's number 3 on the list. You have to be able to communicate in a healthy way. You have to be able to take constructive criticism. You have to be able to say when you have a problem, you have to be comfortable enough, and they have to be to where they are accepting of that, and to where you can tell them that your feelings and what's going on with you and in your head, and them not be defensive like we talked about in the video before. So all around healthy communication about everything, because I mean, how much do you communicate? I know you made it very obvious in the previous videos that you don't have to tell a woman to communicate because they're going to, but
not necessarily.
Communication is a big deal. You're think about all the things that you talk about in a marriage, all the things you have to discuss and you have to talk about on a daily basis, just business, just normal business. And then so there's things you have to talk about, but then there's things that you need to talk about and you should want to talk about. Like you should have your business
then there's things
type
you
of,
want to talk about.
Yeah, you should have your business stuff, like, okay, what about this bill? What about that bill? What about, where we go? What's our schedule look like today? Things like that. But then it should go to, hey, let's sit down and talk. Let's sit down and have a
pleasurable conversation, like actually,
or a deep conversation. Discussing your feelings. I mean, not arguing or fighting or anything like that, but just talking, just discussing. Like you just said, like a list of what you appreciate about each other. Sit down and start by complimenting the other one, and then just having a conversation.
I think
communication is really big.
I think sometimes we don't dream enough. We don't discuss. Maybe we say things like, we're going to the Super Bowl this year, or you're going to take me to the beach for vacation, or whatever. We have a lot of ultimatums in marriages too, but maybe we don't dream enough together. Maybe we don't sit down and say, hey, one day I would like to do this, or one day I would like to do that, or is there a way that we could possibly work it out so that we could work this in? And
goals.
Put some stops along the way of the road of life. Put some stops on that thing that are actually stops you want to do together, and work toward that, and work it in. Don't be so rigid in your relationship that you can't stop what you're wanting to do and welcome in another stop on the road because your spouse wants to do that. When we travel, I love history. So when we're traveling, I want to work in some kind of historical something. And Kelly accommodates that, and we usually stop and we find time to do some of that. Well, there's some things that she likes to work into the trips. So we work those in. Well, that's just some silly road trip. Life can have those stops along the way too.
What do I look like doing along the way?
What do you like
besides
doing?
besides stopping at a gas station and stocking up on candy?
I was going to say cookies. We just stopped
Or-
today on the way down here today. Walked in there, and there's this
Huge.
I don't know if it was a cookie, if it was a splat.
It looked like a cookie. It
was a cookie, but it
I
didn't
don't
look like it was
know. It was in a
baked.
Ziploc bag.
It might have been baked, but it didn't look baked. It looked, actually what it
amazing.
was cookie dough of some sort.
It was called orange strawberry shortcake, is what it was.
And
With icing on top.
It looked like it had been, I mean, I guess it was baked enough to spread out in the oven or something, but it was the size of a pancake. And it had icing all over the top of it, and it had little crunchy things in it, and we shared it. And in hindsight, we probably would have gotten 6 for her and 1 for me.
I like cookies, and so normally we go on a trip, and normally it's stopping at the truck stop down the road for. Usually they have little cups of fruit, which I like, fruit in the morning, early in the morning. But we get fruit, we get coffee, the big things of coffee, like this big things of coffee that I drink down. And I'm a coffee drinker to drink it down.
She's a consumer. I'm a sipper.
I'm a consumer. Like it's for a reason. I need energy. I'm not a morning person, so I need the coffee for a reason. He's over there, my coffee's
enjoying
gone,
my coffee.
and he's like, it's not even halfway gone.
No.
He's like, your coffee's already gone.
No, I'm a
Anyway.
savorer. I savor.
So yeah, I guess you're the historic person that likes to look at all the signs, and I'm looking for the gas stations with the big cookies.
And we work that in. I mean, we work that in. Sometimes we've gone into gas stations and spent $30 on junk.
That's part of it.
On junk.
It's part of it. It's part of the trip. It's just
I
part
know
of
it is.
I like other things too, but I just can't think of anything right now.
Huh, I can't either, except
Awkward.
for cookies.
Awkward pause.
Except for
Okay, number
cookies.
2. We're 32 minutes. Number 2.
Forgive easily. Forgive easily. So
Go ahead.
be willing to forgive. We covered that in a video also.
Yes. That's a big one too.
That's a big
That's why
one.
it's number 2.
And if I promise you, if you're watching this video and you hadn't seen the other one, if you will be more willing to forgive when something is done to you, the other person will be more willing to change it so that it doesn't happen again. Just because you're easy to forgive does not mean you're going to get abused in them taking advantage of you. I promise you, if it's done in the right way, it'll be a blessing to your marriage to forgive instead of hold a grudge or vindicate yourself or whatever.
Yes. Yes, that's huge. And that kind of goes along with the number 1. So the number 1, you didn't silence your phone.
I did. It's silenced. It didn't go off.
The number 1 secret to a successful marriage, I want to say healthy marriage for some reason. The number 1 secret to a successful marriage
It's really not a secret at all.
is, no, it's not, none of these are secrets, but is include God in your marriage. Include God in your home, your family, everything. Include God in everything that you do, but especially in your marriage. If you start out with God, if God's on the top, God's at the top. Every little pyramid, if God's at the top, everything else will fall into place. But pray together, study the Bible together, read it together. That's something we've done a lot, which I understand our situations where it allows it and allows more time for us to do it now. But I've really enjoyed that, and I think that's brought us closer.
There's a
Is
huge
the
thing.
spirituality of it. Spirituality needs to be in your marriage.
That's what I was going to say. When you say include God, what we really mean is be spiritual.
Yes.
Be spiritually minded. There's an element to listening to advice. There's an element to hearing words of wisdom from somebody else. And we have a book that is 1,600 years in the making to give to us so that we have wisdom and knowledge that is not from amongst the land of the living, like the book of Job says. So when we can apply that wisdom and knowledge from above here, it'll change the way things work. It'll change the operation of it. So be spiritually minded. help
Yes.
each other spiritually. You know, the golden rule, the Beatitudes, all these things that you read about in the scriptures, they apply in our marriages too.
Yes.
They apply in our marriages too. So if you really preach the golden rule and you teach your children that, and when you go places and somebody's rude to you and you say, you know, you quote the golden rule, remember to quote that also in your marriage. Treat each other right.
Absolutely.
I mean, just treat each other right. How different would this place be if people just respected each other and treated each other right?
I agree. And I think you did a really good job that they're not at church in the little marriage class doing the 10 Beatitudes of marriage. And I think that we need to do a video on that.
Okay.
And you need to put that out there for everybody.
Okay.
So
I can do that.
that will come soon. So look out for that. But make sure you subscribe to the channel and make sure you hit the notification button and hit the bell and hit all. And anything else?
Well, this video is a little bit long. We try not to edit our videos. I don't know if she's going to edit this one or not, but this is a pretty lengthy video. You
It's
think
okay.
you're just going to leave it?
It's okay. I'm going to leave it.
Okay.
All right. We'll see you next time.